definitely proud to have, or just ecstatic to have Mr. Falo present tonight.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see what he has to say.
I think everybody is.
How do I mute Dave? No, just kidding.
Hey,
actually delete him.
That's why I couldn't. I kept trying to say something, and then Zoom kept telling me the host is not allowing you to talk, and I'm like, I am the host. So I had to get out and get back in. So how's trading? Anybody trading tonight? How's that going?
I'm up 0.05 in the last 2 hours.
I gotta tell you, I did something bad, but it turned out awesome. So I was messing around with my with those risk parameters, and I was like, okay, I was just like, how much will 2 lots give me at 2 pips? How much will 4 lots give me at 2 pips? Right. And and then I'm like, oh, there's a trade. And I got in at 4 lots because I didn't readjust my quantity size, but I got in. And as soon as I got in, it went in my favor. And I'm like, all right. So I just put a secured trade and I got like 50 pips and I'm at 4%.
Take it
from Dave. That's repeatable, David.
So I'm at 4% just on because I stacked in and it was like a 10 pip move and you're like 4% already. So I'm good.
I don't think I want to take that challenge.
Yeah, I don't. I was one of those. I like, oh crap, what did I do? Oh yes.
The 4 lot challenge. I'm doing that right now.
Something cool would do.
Yes, so that's my aggressive. That's my great segue into cool. Fix my trading. Anyways, happy to have you guys all here. So thank you guys for showing up and giving Cool the good support. It was really a last minute thing. I was talking to him and Jimmy on Zoom and we were just happened to have a chat about how his trading's going. And I was looking at his stats and I'm like, wow, you've really I was like, Cool, kind of turned it around because I opened up his account and gave him the 5 to 50 account. So I increased his settings and all that kind of stuff a couple months ago. And so he could play around and give him a couple demos. And he did exactly what Duke is doing right now with the new settings, exploring the ranges of the settings. And he was kind of struggling there to figure it out. And so I'm like, you know what? Duke is kind of right where you're at a couple months ago. I'm like, oh, you should teach tonight. How did you solve your problem when you got the new settings? And so thank you, Cool, for being put right on the spot, like a couple hours later. And so I appreciate it.
we have various degrees of where we're at, no matter if it's our first day or it's our, 1,000 days, however way it be. And, my history has been where, I first started, and I think some of you already know, my first go at this thing was, I think the company was called Hindsight. Hindsight 2020, and I learned how to trade. It was actually a unique name. I don't know if they're still around.
Oh, are you serious? I thought that was your trading strategy.
Well, I can predict the past better than anything else. But it was, it's lost 70 grand in that thing because I was so aggressive from the beginning, but I didn't know how to temper it. And because that's my profile. And I know David with A Prairie, you're able to map out what kind of a trader you are. But I believe you got to be a chameleon as well. I need to learn how to be not as aggressive, because my nature is aggressive all the time. And so one of the things I appreciate as I'm learning from David, one of the things he said was, in one of the trading that I guess you, David, and Sean had, you were both making money, and one was going short and one was going long. Right. And I think if you've been around the block, you probably appreciate that, because I don't know. I mean, there's strategies and techniques that we're learning, but I think for me, I'm learning what works really well for me based on my profile. So having said that, I'm hoping some of you guys will take some stuff out of here, but know that we're all learning together. So part of these things, as I was trying to put my thoughts together, I believe you can all relate to it, but I haven't even close to being arrived. I'm not even there. So I'm presenting it with that background that I'm learning with you guys. Okay. And so whatever David put on there, just put it aside. But I look at life and everything I do through these lenses: the good, the bad, the ugly, and the better. And what I like about this is that sandwich between bad and ugly is I was a good and I was a better. And if you apply that to trading, you've got to believe that, because there's always better. And are there bad and ugly? Quite a few, but you've got to always believe that there's something better. And I love how Dave sometimes will change our words, our verbiage, because of the way our views and attitudes have been conditioned over years and years and years. And now we have to rethink as we do this thing. So having said that, what I'm going to do is present to you, I actually put it as problems at first, and then I thought of David, I said, I'll put improvements. So these are the problems I'm having. And how I'm addressing them. And now, having said that, I recognize it. It's funny because we kind of know our problems, but why is it takes forever for us to fix it? Because there's a lot of stuff that we have to practice to try to overcome it. So here's my problems, or here's some improvements that I'm trying to work on. Layering. My layer, if I have 100 bullets, I'm using 100 bullets. So I got to be better at that. So you got to know how many bullets you have, first of all, that you're working with ahead of time before that. Because if you have 50 bullets, well, then you want to work with maybe 10 or 20 or 25 bullets, especially if you're trying to use the other bullets to fix what you have. Patience, which is something I need to improve on big time. And then I need to recognize higher probability opportunities, which I'll do some demo at the very end. So that way I can just load up, because I have no problem, and snapping and, just pushing that button. And the other improvements I need to do is I gotta control my emotions better. Because I think sometimes when I look at opportunities, I would trade at the end of the price cycle, for example, or, that kind of stuff. I need to work on fixing my trades more. And then after add a safety layer that I need to work on it more. So, and there's a lot more that I need to work on, as all of us do, but I figured I'll start out with my problems first, or things I need to improve on. Now, having said that, so these are some of the things, maybe Joseph, you can help me read this so you don't just hear my voice. Can you read this for me?
Yeah, an aggressive trading mindset can lead to a greater potential profits, as it often involves taking on more risk in order to generate higher returns. You want the whole thing?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Additionally, an aggressive approach can help traders identify and capitalize on the market opportunities more quickly. However, it's important to note that an aggressive mindset can also lead to greater losses if not managed properly.
Read that again. Read that again.
However, it's important to note that an aggressive mindset can also lead to greater losses if not managed properly. It's important to have a balance between aggressiveness and risk management to be a successful trader.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
To you, Joseph, what's aggressive trading to you mean?
Aggressive trading to me means identifying an opportunity and getting in with, for me, it would be more trades early on, sooner than I should, and not letting enough happen between layers or, trying to make that last 2 pips at the end of a price cycle.
Okay. How about you? Oops, sorry. Gosh. How about you, Doc Duke?
What is aggressive? Means faster profits, faster returns, putting on more trades faster. And hey, is that high opportunity or high probability? Let's stack it. Let's add 20 trades.
So who has traded, when they trade, max out the positions, like 100 trades, for example? Let's just use an example. If that's all you have is 100 trades, who's maxed that out? Raise your hand. Okay, so I don't see everybody.
Did it today twice.
I'm assuming everyone has maxed it, correct? That's aggressive.
It happens for me most when I'm going to fix it and I'm trying to get it back. And all of a sudden, I got 50% down and I'm using that other 50% and I'm up against the ceiling. And I know I got 1 or 2 trades off. And so I end up having to take some trades at losses higher than I want to, because I need to have more trades in the direction that I think it's going to move the most.
Okay. So on the towards that end, at the very bottom here, there's a balance that we have to try to achieve there, that I'm working towards. I don't know how many of you guys have felt like you've gotten that balance. I'm taking it you're in here because you're still working on trying to get to that balance. Right. You're not going to get it from me, but I'm going to help. Okay. I'm going to help along the way, because I felt like maybe perhaps I have found something there. And like I said, I'll show you. Now, there are some benefits, though, of being an aggressive trader. Help me read these things. The ability to quickly capitalize on the market opportunities that addresses itself. Of course, we have already talked about having the potential for higher returns, right? So oftentimes when Joseph, when you were mentioning, when I recognize that there is a higher probability trade happening, I'm smacking that thing as much as I can. I unfortunately, with MT4 that we learned, Dave, I can put in 3 or 4 or 5 trades and press it and be able to do one. I know you said kind of scatter a little bit, but if I know that if the uptrend is pretty heavy and I'm losing a pullback and it doesn't come out halfway down on that long candle, I got a really, really good opportunity to capitalize on that. And sometimes if you're able to jump and get as many of those trades you can, given that high probability, that may be enough to get you 1 or 2% right there, depending on, of course, how many lots you have. Okay, so the ability to make that quick decisions. Having been able to be aggressive since I started again this past last year, actually around April with David again, that's just my nature going into it. And I've lost all the time because I just didn't know how to control it properly. Since then, I've been able to control it a little bit more because of the fact that I am able to recognize some of those higher probability trades and then with potential higher returns and then go heavy on it. As you can see here, the ability to take on more risk and I mean, trading, whether you're doing 0.01 or 1, there's a risk. the risk of maybe not earning as much as you thought you could, which is also a mindset where oftentimes I would like, man, I could, shoulda, woulda, coulda, which is not a good mindset to have because there's always an opportunity to make money on the next trade. But yet somehow, some way, I dwell more on that negative thought than the next opportunity to make money. And that's a nature, human nature. The ability to be more assertive and confident in trading decisions. My ability right now, from now versus last April, is a lot more. I'm a lot more assertive and a lot more confident than I did then. Now, it's important to know that an aggressive mindset should be balanced with a healthy level of risk management and discipline. Again, stuff that I'm still working towards. Okay. Any thoughts on this slide?
Yeah, just I like what you just said right there about a healthy risk level of risk management, and that kind of struck with me because that's typically something that I have and had struggled with in the past. But I guess my question is, what is that, or what does that mean for you or for in your trading to have that healthy level of risk management?
So for me, I look at the amount that I'm trading. So on my funded account, that I start off and resets at 3,000, once a month, and the risk I would take is 0.01, 0.02, probably 0.05, but that's very rare. So I'm learning how to control. I don't go one in there because I only got 0.64 to work with. But I know if I trade at 0.01 and I got my 6.64, then I know I have about 64 trades I can utilize, in this as I go forward. If I use all 64, I'm done until I'm able to take some profit or just start taking losses or what have you, right? But on my higher end account, like so I think some of you may know I'm practicing on a $100,000 account just so I can get my mindset trained into the physical part that I'm also working on. My hope is I will eventually trade that account, but I started with 100,000, went down to 90,000, 95, 100, now about 117 because I'm trading 1 to 2 lots. Well, why? Because I got 117 of them to work with, but you got to be careful as well. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions or along that slide? Or thoughts?
Yeah, you were talking about emotion management.
Yeah.
And that's kind of an issue I have. Like I can look at the market right now and I've got problems with emotions because I watch this thing creep down. I watch it not even have a quarter of a pip for 20 minutes and then skyrocket away. What are you doing to manage your emotions in similar times, for example?
So I haven't managed it to the degree I'd like to, but I look at the price cycles, knowing that, hey, listen, there's, if there's a consolidation, there's usually price cycles after, but if it's going way up and way low, it's a hard question to ask, Josh, because I haven't.
Well, for example, my aggressive nature, I want to click a damn button. I don't care if it's buy, I don't care if it's sell. I want to be in the market. But it's got all these creeps, so there's not really a good spot. And by the time the good spot appears, you've missed the opportunity. So you jump in, now you're managing a bad trade, and the emotion just starts to build on itself. So it could be it doesn't have to be tonight's market, but in an example like that, how do you manage it?
So, okay, I guess I don't know if this will answer your question, but as far as emotion, I'm hoping all of us, we got to a point where we can analyze it, right? But maybe perhaps my analyze of what's going on versus another maybe viewed a little bit different, or perspective a little bit different. But for me, when it comes to emotion, I know I only got so much to work with, right? And I would set my profit loss, or I'll take profit maybe 2 or 3, depending on the price cycle, and recognize also in the trend. And I know there's a lot of confirmation we've got to look at. For me, it's helped me control my emotions. I can't go heavy because there's not a lot of activity going. And knowing that, okay, there's a price cycle here about 4, 3 or so, and I recognize, okay, I probably can be able to pull 2 out. So that's my expectation for the short period of time, that I'll probably be able to get 2 out. In the past, dude, I'm putting in 40 trades in. Try to get
because the candle moves, like you see that little tiny thing like at the 252 mark where it moves for like 10, 15 minutes, like a quarter of a pip. I want to just click because I have nothing else to do.
Well,
you know what? Just if you don't mind, Kulesa.
Yeah, please.
If you don't mind, one of the things that I kind of helped or told Cool to do that helped me to do is take the trade. If you're an aggressive mindset and you want to take the trade, take the trade. Don't hold back because that's against your nature. But what I would recommend doing is just reduce your position size and take the trade. Get into 100 trades at 0.01, 0.02.
So satisfy the aggression.
Satisfy the aggression.
Reduce the risk, like Cole's talking.
Reduce the risk. Exactly.
So on this account, I
feed the addiction.
Yeah, well, no, you're absolutely right. So on these accounts, when I notice I need to get in, I'll play with one lot. But then I would look at them like, then I'll go down, even on $100,000 account, 0.05 or 0.02, and start working on those. Yeah, it's not as higher amount of return per se, but at least I think it goes to what you just said, Dave. Take a trade because that's the nature I am. But in regards to emotion, well, how have you been able to control it? I guess let me ask you back to you.
Honestly, clicking, but I didn't reduce the size like David was talking about because it's how I am. I want to do the damn click. But I would end up, of course, it would creep against me because 90 times out of 100, I guess wrong. And then I end up over leveraged, max allotted. Then you know that sequence of problems. And so now I'm mad at myself. But I see what he's talking about, lowering it. I can still do that. And then when it goes against me, or if we'll go with that word, I can manage it because I have bullets. But I still fed the aggression. I like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for answering your own questions.
Well, no, y'all did.
No, we're all learning together. All right.
Can I throw in a couple comments?
No, Josh. Okay, let's keep. No, just kidding.
Yeah, being a coach of athletes, that's one of the things that you always have to manage is that emotional state, because you need that high energy that the emotional state gives you.
Yes.
In order to perform. So what do you do to control that emotional state? Well, there's a couple of things. First off that comes to mind is breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, and get lots of oxygen. The second thing that comes to mind is review the plan. You have a plan. You have your processes that you need to work, and it's so easy to forget in the heat of the battle what it is to see what's coming down the court. For athletes, when they can see the game before it happens, they're prepared. So the thing to do is on the high emotions is prepare. See the game before it develops.
No, that's good because I get so lost in the not movement that I just focus on clicking. I forgot what my plan was.
And I like that, sticking with that plan, right? Sticking with that.
So if I go back to it, like Joseph is saying, right, I can calm myself, reset, and then click a whole bunch with a smaller lot size in the correct accordance to the plan.
One of the things that really helped me, and I'm sure that Cole can attest this because he's going to give us some steps on how to be a successful aggressive trader, but it's just those techniques, right? He's mentioned looking at the price cycles, right? Trying to find our higher probability trades. And so it kind of helps me switch my mindset that yes, I can still be aggressive, but I use these techniques to help understand when I should be, right? Would you agree with that, Cool? Or
no? Yep, I agree. And Joseph, I love what you're saying when you're using the analogy of an athlete, because you're right. I mean, perhaps all of us played some sort of sport or played something where our emotions really helped us get to that next part. I know when I play chess, it really helps because I want to beat that.
When I was racing cars and that engine was at 8,000 RPM, the emotions were
no, but I think the better term could be controlled emotions. Because wild emotions will get us all over the place, right? And so maybe the focus should be how can I control my emotion? Because you're going to need it. You need that in order for you to be able to pull or stop, go, what have you. And that's, it's a lifelong process of how to do that. Am I better now than I did last year? Oh, much better. But I still got a little bit more ways to go. So maybe controlled emotion, because we need that as fuel and fire for what we need to do to trade, especially as an aggressive trader. Okay, so here's some steps. Develop a trading plan, Joseph. Right? So having a plan in mind of what you want to do. And then maybe right now for the newer ones, maybe there is no plan. You just want to trade. Listen, that's why it's a demo account. Right? Practice as much as you can. And for the newer ones I talk to, I say, dude, you got to get 1,000 trades in. Whether you know what you're doing or not, you figure it out. But get as many as you can, because I think sometimes people get paralyzed because they think they're going to lose. But yet the same emotion can be said for what if you win? But for some reason, we take loss a lot harder than we do when we win. For some reason, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Okay, have a plan. Educate yourself. And this, I took it to heart last year, to really knowing that my success in trading has a lot to do with up here. And so, of course, I read books, which I've already shared with you, and I read journals, and I'm always listening to successful traders. Some of them are junk. They just want to make money, and you'll pick it up right away. But there's some out there that you'll pick. You'll find an author that just resonates with you, and just you're picking his brain by listening to. Educate yourself. Just like anything we do in life, any craft, you got to be educated in it and learn. And trading with David every morning helps a lot. I think many of you can attest to that. So educate yourself. So as you're educating yourself and you're finding certain things to train your mind, man, share it with the group, because we'll all benefit from it. Because why? We'll all see it in a different perspective, and yet it's the same thing. And it's those different perspectives that will help us grow. Start small. So again, if you're a new trader, you want to start off small, so that way you can kind of get a feel of how to play this game. And then eventually, as your confidence increase, so will your capital. I think David has mentioned this a few times, keeping a trading journal. The neat thing about Apiary is that they have a already made journal, if you will, in here that you can look at, and that helps out, right? And you can kind of see. Now, David, I know you keep a track of the journal personally. Do you do that also, even with the stats that are created by Apiary?
I do, because I like to see what I'm doing daily. And this isn't really, yes, it gives me a good balance, but I can see it on the spreadsheet that I use, that some of you guys have seen, where I can see my percentage return every day.
Okay.
And that just helps me to know what I'm at throughout the week, the daily. And it also helps me personally to be like, okay, if I had a bad day, my week is still good. Right. And so I don't take it on as like, who cares about the day? It's really about the week, or it's really about the month, right? It's about consistency, right?
So I do it more on the MT4 than I do on Apiary. So I'll start doing it on Apiary more. So again, on that point, keep a journal, right? So we can kind of keep track of our results. As I think somewhere, I don't know where I heard it, but if it's not measured, right, sometimes you don't know what's going on. So you got to measure it, and this is one way to keep track of it. I think we've already talked about discipline, but it can't be overstated. And again, I believe your discipline today, Duke, is much better than it was last year, maybe the year before. Do you agree or not really?
Agree.
Okay. And I think that could be said with all of us. I can tell you for a fact, for me, I'm a lot better in January than it was in April. Much better. And this goes along with the journal. Continuously monitor and adjust your strategies. Now, my strategies, it's not any different than what David has taught us, but mine is fairly. I don't know. So we know that before we trade, we kind of look at the overall trend, right? And what are the three things that David always says?
Trend, bias, and price cycle.
Okay. And I use the 5 minute and also the 1 minute to kind of look at that for me. Right. So we have those vital parts that we need to look at. But I also, and I'll show you some of the confirmation that I kind of put together that you all know to kind of help me, knowing that if I know what the price cycles is, if I know those are the trends, the bias has been such a hard thing for me to do. I'm better at it now than I was, but it was really hard because if I'm going to buy, that's all I'm going to do is going to buy. Yeah, it's going down, and then I get maxed out. Right. So at least that's been for me was the bias. I can identify the trend. I don't know for whatever reason that if I start selling, that's all I'm going to do is sell. And I'm such a one-dimensional trader that I need to be improved on learning how to make money while I'm losing. I think it's one of the things that you taught us, Dave. Right? Okay. Seek professional help. Not a psychologist or anything like that, but we have David as our therapist that can help us out.
No, I'm not your therapist or your priest.
Forgive me, Dave, for I have sinned.
Yeah, and a bad day.
Actually, I think I told you, Dave, because after a while I felt so bad. I said, Dave, can you resend my demo? Because I promise I won't trade aggressive. I promise. I promise I'm gone.
Yeah, Jerry, I can be your bartender.
Obviously, we've been talking about emotions, Josh, and I think it's an important ingredient of what we need to do to be an aggressive trader. But I think controlled emotions is a goal that we can all strive for. Okay. We've already got about, oh, wait a minute. I'm doing the very same thing. Sorry, guys. Tells you when you only have about 45 minutes to try and then you kind of copy and paste the same thing that you want to try to talk about. Anything out of here that I think I need to talk about? No. Okay. So what I did was I went through and I looked at all the confirmation I can think of that I think you're familiar with as well. And so these are the certain things I'm trying to memorize in my head as I make trades, right? Knowing the trend and the price cycles and the bias that's in there, and then look at the various different perspective that I have. Because as you know, what happens right now may be different in 5 minutes or vice versa, what have you. And so having said that, I'm constantly trying to memorize where am I at? What's, and try to think really, really fast. What's it doing right now? And sometimes within seconds, right? And I think sometimes you got to allow yourself that you will miss those minute opportunities. And that was hard for me once upon a time. Where if I don't get into it and I lose it, I'm like, oh man, then I'll dwell for a couple of minutes on why I missed that when really there's another one forming in front of me. Okay. So if there's anything here that maybe that you need to add to, and I posted this in the Discord, please add to it as well. That you found that's worked. But what I found also, at least, and I could be wrong in this, but this is how I've been doing it, is that you don't need a lot of stuff or confirmations here to be able to make a go at this thing. Because what I've done, and I'll show you some examples on this, is that on my trader account, what I did was, because I'm on 0.01 and I have 64 trades to work with, like on this situation here, knowing that, hey, the overall trend is up, and I got some price cycles that I'm working with right now, that perhaps I can pull out 2 or 3 out of here. So I would set my take profit at probably 2 here, knowing that, okay, now it's going to probably go up to this line, this resistance up here, and maybe perhaps I can do 1. Because it's not moving so fast, I'm not putting 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 at a time. I'll do 1 and just kind of play with it to get a feel, knowing that for me on a 5-minute chart, I mean, there's a good uptrend overall, but it just had a drop down here and almost retraced itself fully, and so it's just consolidation on the 5-minute chart. And so for me, if I have multiple confirmations on those confirmation I just mentioned, that will help me put in certain amount of trades, whether it be 1 or 5, and then just see what happens from there. Any thoughts so far that may be popping in your mind as I'm explaining?
Yeah, I guess with you mentioned the technique, right there. How has that really, I guess, improved your trading, do you feel?
So remember I was talking about crafts. I mean, we got to know our craft, right? And so I know these better now than I did last April. Even though I kind of knew it here and there, I wasn't utilizing it because my emotions was overriding all these. And the emotion was so powerful that I was overlooking these things, even though I see, afterwards, I shouldn't have done that. I knew that, dude, there's a huge resistance here. Why did I do that? Right. And so I think for these confirmations that right now it's in the front of my eyes, I'm able to view it now as I view the market. And so that's at least has helped me. But at the same time, you've almost got to memorize it and have traded every one of these so it can become part of you. So that way you can kind of know, okay, this is what's happening. If there's a lot of meat on that candle and it's on an uptrend, there's more likely an opportunity for it to go there. Right now, I look at the 15, the 30, and 1 hour chart, but I don't make a lot of decisions on that. It's always the 1 and 5 minute, because within 15 minutes you can be finished if you can, depending on the movement of the market. Announcements, I actually sucked at that. They traded a live account. They was like, "What did you do?" I traded my $5,000 account. I wiped it out on an announcement, and that wasn't fun. Right. But I think to answer your questions, Jimmy, I think for me to know each of these areas as I trade, that formation and multiple confirmation will help me so I have a higher probability. So just to kind of give you an idea on this account here, I go heavy sometimes, and the max is 64, right? Or 32, depending if I have 0.02 or 0.01. But I notice also for me between 10 and 2 is where a lot of those activities happen. Definitely towards 2 o'clock in the morning, Central Time, because that's when Europe opens. I would say probably maybe 7 out of 10 times there's good activity. And I've noticed, for me at least, in the last 4 weeks, that for the reason everything goes down, and then towards the evening it slowly go back up. And I'm writing that, and taking out and scalping up pips here and there as I go up. I make more money in the evening going long than going short. And I don't know why that's the case, but so, dude, remember that time I made so much and I went through and I'm like, dude, this thing's has a pretty good chance. One of the things I learned from trading the zone is that there's intuition, that you'll trade enough that you just have a feel for it. Now, I'm not there yet, but I want to. And I have the desire to kind of look at it and say, even though the confirmation is saying this, your intuition is like, you shouldn't, then you shouldn't. Now, that's not a technique or strategy that you can teach. You can't teach that. But I believe if you put in 1 million trades, perhaps it slowly will come. Sorry, Duke, you had a question? You had a thought?
No, I had a comment. And I've studied the patterns, and majority of the times the day will go in one direction, the night will go the reverse. So it's not that it's going like one way, but it's like it's usually the opposite.
Yeah.
I see that all the time. And I do the market analysis every day, and I try to do it at the same time of day. And I can tell you, the days, they're different. The slopes are different.
Yep.
And you can, and I have the comparison on the 5 hour to the 9 hour, you can see a change.
And I think especially for newer traders, well, really anybody, I think you make a good point. I chalk the intuition up as more of analysis or familiarity with what that market's been doing, right? Because I've been focused on that one pair, right, for so long. And for me to be able to recognize that ebb and flow or intuition or whatever you want to call it has just really been helpful. And so I usually recommend, before you start getting off into the more foreign of the pairs, make sure that you have a go-to, right? Have something that a pair that you trade constantly and understand those market ebb and flows.
One of the things, and I'll go back to what you were saying, Joseph, in sports analysis, for those that love sports and they watch it, there's a thing called momentum, right? Especially football. When a momentum happens, gosh, it's so difficult to stop that. And that's why they're calling timeout, they're fouling them or whatever, because that momentum is going. And for me, I look at that as that intuition in trading. And if you can get that somehow configured into your psyche, as we all try to work that will be just another, tool for you to utilize to become a better trader. And so I'm recognizing that. I didn't know when I was reading Trading the Zone by Douglas there, what he meant, but I think I know small now what he is talking about. And it's just because I want it. I want to learn that part of trading that you can't teach, but it comes through learning.
Quick comment?
Yeah.
So go back to your other slide real quick. Just go back one slide. I love this. I really, really love this. And I think if you guys have not had the opportunity to put down on paper everything that you learned or anything, like all the thing, put it down because it will reinforce it, right? I still remember this from high school where my biology teacher would always say that the hand is the camera to the eye. And so if you write it down or type it out, you're gonna remember it and it's gonna be stuck in there. Now, speaking about what Cool said about intuition does not come when you're still learning these things. When you're still learning, you can't receive intuition. Intuition comes after you gain confidence in knowing something, right? Because then you start to feel it as opposed to trying to learn it. And so all these things that Cool put out, right? All these things that he's done because of repetition, because he's done over and over and over. And now he's ready, and I've seen this in his trading, he's ready to do exactly what he was talking about, to find the momentum, the big mo, and understand when it changes, where it changes, and how to get in or get out, right? Sure, he's still going to have bad days. We all will. But he's starting to have more good days than bad days. And the best part about that is that even if he has a bad day, he comes right back the next day and fixes that bad day. And that's what I've seen in him, in his growth. I've been personally trading with him since the beginning of this year. And prior to that, he would always say, man, I really got to get back into trading. I really got to get back into trading. I really got to get back into trading. And I finally said, don't just talk about it, be about it. And so we just, him and I would trade just one-on-one in the mornings or whatever at the beginning of the year. And he has come a long way. And you didn't start from scratch, but this really does impress me a lot. Cool that you put this out there. And you even thought of things that most people don't, like the clock, right? Look for recycle, lower highs, higher lows. These are things that we talk about every single day. And if you know them, well, you start to know them instead of learning them, right? And then that's when your intuition comes. I mean, I love this. The only thing that I would add to this, and I know that you know this, but you left off, is 50%. Because I think 50% is a big thing when you're looking at candles, right? 50% retracement of the candle. Did it break 50% on a pullback? But just 50%, right? That's the only thing that I would say that I know that you know that, but I would just add that into your arsenal. This does not come because one day he read a book. And this doesn't come because one day he saw somebody else had it on a slide. This is his own personal knowledge that he's garnered because of the butt in the chair, right? Time in the seat.
Came from a lot of pain.
Yeah. A lot of, and you know what? My dad always says that experience is what you get when you didn't get what you wanted. And we're all here with a lot of experience, right? So let's take that experience and let's start turning that into opportunity. So sorry, I just had to make a comment there, Cool, because I really, really love it. And I really am excited to see your journey and where you've gone and where you're headed. So thank you.
No, thanks, Dave. So one of the things that I learned from Dave was sometimes I take my profit out too early. And once I hit to one or 2 or 3 pips, I would take it out. And I said, I need to let it ride to see, even if it comes back, if I go up 4 and I come back 2, that's, so I was trying to play with that. And now I'm able to get 7, 10, sometimes 15, knowing what I'm looking at. And before I would pull the trigger and take that profit right away. So I'm trying to learn how to maximize my profits depending on the formation that I see. And that's how I'm being able to get, 5, 10, 15 pips, depending on what it is. And so that took me a minute because, like I said, I was always taking out my profit. Sometimes one, hit the one, boom. But yeah, I would let it ride 10 pips down.
And these confirmations are what help you let it ride?
Yeah, well, let it ride, but give me the confidence that if the right formation forms, I got to take whatever the market's giving me. Right. So it's not, I wish I can tell you it's a specific answer for it, but it's a combination of many things because what will work for one formation may not work for the other one. And so you got to have a lot of these in your arsenal, if you will, to kind of pull out as you need to. And then last of all, guys, this is my first check that I got from Apiary. That was this past August. So my goal is to add another 0 right before the decimal.
That's right.
And add another 0. But in order for me to do that, I got to get up to a higher amount. What gives me a peace of mind, guys? No, the other way.
I added it for you.
What gives me the peace of mind is that, guys, we're trading the fund. Yeah, it's costing us time and a little bit of technology fee here and there, but we're trading the fund. My first time around, I lost 70 grand. Here, I'm losing time, but I have an opportunity to trade a higher account. That's not my money. Yeah, if I lose, it sucks, but it's not my money. What do you got to lose?
Don't yell at Sean here.
So guys, continuous improvement. That's where we're at. So that's it, Dave. I'm good.
I got a couple questions for you though. One of the things that I was hoping that you would cover, and particularly, is the mental shift that you saw and how did you do that from when, and you personally have to shift because when you have an account that has normal apiary settings that you trade in daily, because that's your funded account through Beeline or whatever. And then you have another account of the 5 to 50 that has higher settings. And so one of the things that I've noticed, and a couple people here on this call are in the same boat. How do you switch between the two mentally, and how are you still able to increase your profits on both of those accounts?
So because you're switching from one account to another, usually the funded one, the 550, and then apply the 100,000, knowing that these formations was going to happen, I feel confident enough with the take profit that I can do 3, 4, 5 trades on this account, go on another one, do another 3 or 4, 5, and go on another one, do the same amount. So I'm doing the same trades on 3 different accounts. And does it go against me? Yeah, but I found in my trading in the evening, if I were to guess a percentage of success, I would probably say maybe 60, 65% of the time it's working for me. That could be low, that could be high, but so that's why
Is there a psychology or not, or you don't really think about it that much because you're trading, you have more bullets, obviously, in your own personal account or this account, and so you can't trade the same amount of trades either, right?
Yeah. So like on my funded account, the $3,000 one, I'm hurry up, and sometimes I make a mistake. I'll put a trade. I'm like, oh, dude. But I would hurry up and change it to 0.01 on the $3,000 account, and then change it between 0.5 to 1 on the $10,000 account, and then 1 or 2 lots on a $100,000 account. There's a lot of movement that has to go, but I guess I just got used to it.
So the other thing is, what did you discover about your trading that maybe you could give aggressive traders advice when they do get more bullets, and how to, because sometimes the pendulum will shift the other way and they'll feed more into their aggressiveness. And then how did you figure that out? Because I saw you do that, and I'm just, I want to know, how did you figure out to bring it back to kind of the even? Do you know what I mean?
That's a difficult question to answer. I think I know the answer, Dave, but I'm trying to formulate how to answer it properly. I guess for me, what helped was that and again, this may not be something you want to do, but in the beginning, because I really didn't have all these ammo, right? All the strategy ahead of me, I was just going aggressive, sometimes maxing it out all the time. No one's
You're testing the limits of the account.
Testing.
Right?
I always, it's funny, when you gave me the account, I went and tested the limits. I feel, oh, I can only do 50. I texted, dude, can I do any more than 50? He said, no, that's a max on that account. And then I would get the other account, I'll go 100. Right. And yeah, there's sometimes that went against me, but I know in the evenings you'll go for me. So I would always test the max first. And then, yeah, I would lose a lot, but it's a demo account. I guess I hate to say it that way because oftentimes I try to practice like I'm really making money. And sometimes that gets in my way. But at the same time, I would have a mindset, okay, I'm learning. I'm trying to learn. And I'll put my learning cap and say, okay, because I think sometimes for those that are not aggressive, that's your nature. You've got to eventually maybe improve to be a little bit more aggressive so you can get those multiple returns. And how you can do that? Max it out. Maybe ask Dave, hey, can you give me a maxed account? Give me 100,000, give me 10,000, give me whatever amount, and then just max it out.
But I honestly did the same thing because whenever I get a new account, I do it on a demo though, and I just test the ranges of it, right? So that I know, don't want to do that, or I don't want to do that. I don't know. I just need to know. I need to know what my ranges are, right? Yeah. In any account, really. And so, yeah, but I would recommend doing it in a demo account.
Yeah, I didn't know 50 was a max until I asked you. Say, I can't do any more than 50. He said, that's because that's a max on that account.
So I have a different question, similar. How do you avoid the out of margin?
So the thing that's typical for me on that, right? Because sometimes you're trading on, you got to lose and gain on the same lot. Because, obviously if you're trading 0.01 and also go one lot and you lose, you got to trade a lot to make it back on a 0.01. So I don't know the answer completely to that, but I'm trying to taper it knowing the account size I have. I hope that helps, Duke.
So if you're tapering it, like let's say, because right now on the 10K account, or the 5K, right? Usually 2.5 is kind of like my max before it's out of margin and closes everything. And I'm trying to stay under 2, right? But then with the drawdown, 2 becomes the max and you're out of margin. Does that make sense? So when you're saying tapering it, like, is there some kind of limit that you're staying under or what when you're trading?
I think, yeah, one, again, I mean, on the $100,000 one, I trade up to 2 on a $10,000 one lot, and then on $3,000 0.1, 0.2. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Just the number of trades.
Well, in the number of trades, honestly, most of the time my layers are double what David's are.
Like 10 at a time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how far apart are they?
Is your position size double what mine is too?
No. But they were many times.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes
I told you that too. Remember back in September, I said, cool, the way you're trading, you're gonna blow your account up.
And it
remember me saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it happened, and
multiple times.
But I think that everybody needs to do that to whatever that is before they can get better. Right?
So, yeah. So I guess for me, the more opportunities I get to trade, the better. Now, obviously we have our demo account, but it doesn't become real until you actually put your money in. I know $50 is only $50, but I don't know very many opportunities out there that presents itself in where you can invest $50 and have an opportunity to make $5,000 after you can grow that by 10%. Now, granted, obviously, the leverage or what have you, it may take some time.
You're talking about the growth account? Is that
the growth account, the growth challenge.
The growth challenge,
right?
Yeah.
So I bought into it because I want to be able to see what I can do along that front. Now, again, $50. Right. But,
that's not 5,000 you're risking, right?
So that's another opportunity, because again, it doesn't become real until you put something in there. And I know we're putting our time, but sometimes it's easier to trade time than trade our cash. And once we put our money in there, it becomes a little bit more real. And $50 may be a good way for all of us to try to test it.
Yeah.
Well, and I like the daily exercise of the challenge, right? If we're kind of talking a little bit about that, because we've talked a lot about shifting your mindset, right? And learning the techniques and how to control your aggressiveness and your emotions, right? And Cool really hit on the nail on the head. Is I think it's that daily exercise, that daily repetition. And that's something that I think that the challenge specifically has helped me with. Because even if I fail a challenge, right, if I draw it down by 10%, right, well, it's not that let's say I'm in that $5,000, I made it past the demo, right? So now I'm in the 5K, right? But if I have a bad month or whatever, and I draw that account down, I do go back to the demo account, but it's not like I completely melted my funded account, right? If that kind of makes sense, where I have to get to, $8,000 or $9,000 or whatever, right, to actually get a profit. And it was pretty daunting on me because I've melted a funded account like that before, right? And then I just get frustrated, like, I stopped trading that account.
That's a good point.
With the challenge account, my mindset is now shifted to where, yes, if I have a 10% drawdown, well, that's okay, because all it's going to do is I have to just have a 10% increasement in 30 days, and I could be back on track, right? Right back on track to where I should be. So for me, I think I really like the daily exercise of it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, so those of you guys have been watching me trade. I just, in fact, I need to do a YouTube video on this. I was just telling Cool that, but I think last week when I was sick, I actually accomplished the goal that I was set out to do, is take a $5,000 account and turn it into 50,000. I did that twice, but the first time I did that without telling anybody. But then this time I journaled it and traded it in front of you guys, and we did it live, and we've been doing it since, November is when I started, early November, late October. And I just turned it in like last week from 5 to 50. And so for me, I'm just like, okay, I did it. Now what? Because that's how I am. I'm like, okay, now what's my
500?
Now what's my next challenge, right? And I was just happened to talk to Cool and Jimmy today. I'm like, what's my next challenge? And I'm like, so I was contemplating on that. I'm like, okay, obviously I'm going to continue to trade that account, but I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I could go out and get another $50,000 funded account? And I'm like, I think I'm going to just do the challenge and pass that challenge. But then I'm like, you know what would be even cooler is, so Ron, like early, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I don't remember, I got funded through Beeline, the $2,500 account. And I increased it all the way to like 10 grand. I didn't make 10 grand. He funded me 10 grand. And then I drew it down to like 8. He put me in a demo account. And I traded a demo account. And then Sean's like, hey, you're doing great. I'm going to give you a funded account. And Sean gave me a different account to trade. And I've been trading that account ever since. But I drew the Ron's account all the way down to like three grand before I stopped. And I'm like, Ryan, why didn't you kick me out? I'm like, oh, I thought that was something you and Sean were doing. And I'm like, no. And then I got it to Better Trader, but I still bugs me that I have a $3,000 funded account that's been there. And so I'm like, I'm going to turn that one into 50,000. And so I've been trading that, this week, and that's what I've been trading in this week. And I'm actually got it to almost 5. I'll be at 5,000 tomorrow in that account. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
So then I'm
You're gonna have to call Ron when you get it back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I fixed it a couple years later.
So that's kind of my next challenge. And so I'm like, I'm only going to trade that when I'm trading with you guys though in the morning. and I'll trade my other accounts on my own time. So that's kind of the rules I'm setting for myself. I know for me, I have to have a challenge, right? And so that's what I love about that growth challenge that Jimmy was talking about, is because, yeah, you hit the 10%. Now, Nick, we got to talk about this, Kovash. We need to get you. You're up in the hot seat tomorrow, so we're gonna get you. We're gonna teach you how to get. Oh, did he disappear?
He ran.
Like he knew you were talking.
I love it. That's awesome. We're going to go for 3% tomorrow. I'm not saying positive or negative, but we're going to hit 3%.
Hey, I got another meeting I got to run to right now for the team. But
all right, sounds good. Thank you, Cool. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Cool.
Thank you.
We'll just keep it cool.
Thanks, Cool.
take care. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dave, do you remember? I don't know. Maybe are you aware that me and Sean have a little challenge or bet going on? Did I tell you about that?
Oh,
yeah. So
no, remind me. Sorry.
So Sean's going to be doing a webinar promoting the challenge, right?
Oh, next week he's doing a live one. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? We've got the best Discord community. I mean, we got the top players. So I talked a little smack and said that I could get more people interested and involved with the challenge than he could in his webinar. So I'm going to ask the community for help. I mean, the hot seat and the 5 to 50K, obviously fantastic, right? That's the best that's going around right now. But next best thing, obviously I would say it would be the challenge, right? And so. Gives you that daily exercise, gives you a real opportunity to be able to grow those accounts. So I'm going to post a link in the chat just now. Take the challenge. If you've already got involved, great, fantastic, appreciate it. But if not, or if you have friends or relatives that you think that this might help, but I'd really be cool to be able to beat Sean. It's something, right?
That's going to be tough, but I think maybe not in this room, but I'll do you a favor. I'll post it tonight to YouTube and I'll put that in the Discord too. But if you guys, seriously, if you guys haven't taken the challenge, do it, right? There's nothing to I guess there's nothing to lose is what I would say. And everything to gain, right? Because like Cool was saying, it's only $50 and you get your account reset if you draw it down every month. So you get an opportunity to learn. And at some point you're going to have that aha moment, or you're going to learn everything that Cool was showing tonight. And then you'll be able to just take it from there and build it from there. Right.
Yeah.
Obviously the hot seat is awesome. Nick's nervous, I can tell.
3% is a lot. This webinar was not for me.
Hey, Dave.
You failed.
What's that, Joseph?
Can other apiary funded traders get into the 5 to 50 or the 50 challenge?
Yeah, so you can have I really am. My goal is to have multiple funded accounts with Apiary Fund at 50,000 or more, whatever that is, and that should be your goal too, right? And so if it's the 5 to 50 crew that you get a $5,000 account in, if it's growing the $50 growth challenge, that one, or through Beeline, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think.
There's some other people out there that I know I'm trying to draw in.
Well, do Jimmy a favor and go to this YouTube video and give him this YouTube video and tell him to sign up through that link before Sean does it Tuesday, I think. Tuesday or Wednesday next week. But I think Duke and Josh and Nick I have 3 funded accounts with Apiary, right? You guys have 3 funded accounts. And Jerry, do you?
1.
No.
No, I have a $7,500 funded account with a.
Well, and you have a 5,001 for the crew. So you have 2,
right?
Because you're not part of the challenge.
No,
We're calling you out, Jerry. You need to have 3 funded accounts, right, Jerry?
well, I've got the growth challenge and I've got the trading partner too. So, right.
Well, and that
Right.
growth challenge
So
too.
if you do have, do you have the growth challenge and then a beeline one? So
I
you do have 3.
And a
Yeah, I have growth challenge, a regular funded level 1, and trade partner.
Okay. Yep. That was the 5 to 50. And yep. So you do have 3. So you didn't even know. You have 3. You have 3 funded accounts.
It's got checks coming in from everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. The first person that gets 3 checks from Apiary wins.
Well, that's another thing. Maybe even the first person who gets additional offers off their sharp ratio on a growth challenge.
Oh, there you go.
The first person to get that.
That's awesome, guys. I appreciate it. Oh, look. Yes. Yeah, but that's not Apiary. One of those traders on the street. I know. Hey, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Jimmy, do you have anything else? So you guys make this a lot of fun. So appreciate it for sure.
No, man.
This was a good session.
Yeah, it was fun, great fun. And, more again, I'll be posting the Learn by Teaching link as well. I'll post it in the Trade Talk, but also, I'll have maybe somewhere Dave tell me where to post it as well, because it kind of gets lost in the Trade Talk, I think. So,
sure.
But yeah, I'll be posted that. So let's do it again and let's go fight win.
Okay.
We'll see you guys in the AM. Looking forward to it, Nick.
Yeah. I get to go tomorrow because Josh and I will probably show up because we don't have class.
It's 9 o'clock tomorrow, Joseph. So we'll be able to harass David in this.
Oh,
group.
yeah, I think I'm up. I think I'm up at 9 too. So you guys might not want to do that because that would be like 4 hours with me.
We've been you can't believe we've been sitting in seats for 6 hours at a time.
If you guys start at 7 and then I get 2 hours at 9 in boot camp, I don't know. That's 4 hours with me. I don't know.
That's an easy one for us, right, Jack?
I'm always green, so I'm good. I got voiceovers. I can change his voice over the computer.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.